Have you ever watched something on TV and thought, I really like that and I have to have it in my wardrobe? I've thought that about several of the outfits that were worn in the Queen's Gambit. Beth, the main character, wore some really cute dresses and pinafores that I really liked. So today, I am going to be recreating the dress that she buys from the department store at the beginning of the show. This is right after she wins her first tournament and gets some money. For me, I have some really beautiful wool suiting that I bought from Mood Fabrics. It isn't an exact match to the show, but I really liked the colors and the pattern in the fabric that I chose. I also bought some charcoal gray silk as the lining for the bodice. The pattern that I'm using is also from Mood Fabrics, and it's a free pattern that I will link below. I have already made a mock-up and some modifications to the bodice so that it fits me better. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Shannon and I enjoy sewing and making things that I can wear, whether it's outfits, dresses, or cosplay. I do all of this under the supervision of my sidekick Nightmare, who is my cat. With that, let's get started on the actual dress. So in this clip, I am preparing for cutting. I am setting out my pattern pieces so that they have some pattern matching. I did my best with this, but to be honest with you, I am no expert at pattern matching, so I really don't know if I did an excellent job or just an okay job. So this pattern took me a little bit longer for cutting because I cut everything in a single layer, except for maybe the lining pieces, because where it crisscrosses over in the front, there's a lining piece that's just of the regular fabric here, and I wasn't really all that worried about pattern matching that. So once I cut out these two pieces, because this is the center front piece for the princess scene, and then the other piece that it attaches to is the side front piece. So I went ahead and pinned those pieces together so that when I went to sew them afterwards, I knew that I had the correct pieces so that I didn't mess up and cut two of the same pieces, which I have done before, so I definitely wanted to make sure that I wasn't doing that in this. So you can see here that I just decided to pin them together right after cutting them out so that I knew that the pieces would match up and that there were two different pieces for each side. So here I am doing the same thing for the other side, and you can see that I go and get my other piece to make sure that I have two corresponding pieces that will overlap and lay correctly. Even though there is no right side, wrong side to this fabric, if I sewed it together wrong, then I would still have to pick it out. So I just wanted to make sure that I had done it correctly. So here you can see that I had to bring out another table because this fabric is very wide and this piece here has to be cut on the fold. So I had to fold over the piece of fabric and then cut it on the fold. And then the next part was just me trying to pattern match so that I could maximize my fabric and make sure that the skirt had all of the pieces matching. And honestly, I haven't gone back to look and see if I did this well, but I did attempt to pattern match as much as I could, and I think it came out okay, even if the pattern pieces aren't exactly matching. I'm really happy with the results. So the other two skirt pieces were not cut on the fold, they were just single pieces because you need 3 of them. So the center front is all one piece, which was cut on the fold, and then the center back pieces were 2 pieces for the zipper, obviously. So I just did my best, again, trying to pattern match as much as I could so that they would look seamless when I put the skirt together. So I did one here, and then I pulled out more of the fabric and did the last one there. But this was really challenging because of the size of the fabric and the size of the skirt piece, because this was a really large skirt piece as well. I think this is a full circle skirt, which in hindsight I probably would have just done a 3/4 circle skirt because I prefer the way that looks to a full circle skirt. I think a full circle skirt is a little bit too full for my liking, but again, I'm still happy with the results of the dress. princess seam. I've already pinned it. So in this clip, I'm sewing together my princess seams on both sides. I have already pinned them together, like I said before, when I was cutting them out to ensure that I did not mess up how I had these cut. So here I am over at the ironing board pressing my seams open, and for wool especially, you definitely want to make sure that you're using a clapper of some sort, and this is just a piece of wood. I bought this on Amazon and I can link it in the description below, but it just helps to hold the steam in there so that the wool actually holds the press that you give it, because otherwise it really won't. So like if you try to press wool without it, it's actually really difficult to get it to hold that press. So here you can see I have my two front pieces already assembled, and now I am making the darts for the back pieces. I'm marking out where the darts are and then marking the line so that I can pin them. And then once I do that, I just pin them and sew them. So here I am sewing the darts, and you always want to go from the bottom to the top because you don't want to backstitch on a dart. You want to make a knot, leave your thread tails nice and long, and then make a knot. This way the dart will sit properly when you iron it, and it won't be bulky, because if you backstitch at the top of the dart, it's going to be bulky and it will be pointy and it won't sit right. And then once you're done making your darts and knotting them, you then want to go over to the ironing board and press them. And in this one, I chose to press it towards the center. The pattern doesn't specify. Sometimes the pattern specifies which way it wants you to press the darts, but this made the most sense to me, so I decided to press it towards the center this time. So here I am joining the front and the back together at the shoulder seams and the side seams. And then I'm going to press those both open. have just done the same thing with the lining, and then I'm going to attach the lining together. So first I attach it from the center back all the way around the neckline to the center front. And then after I attached that, I did a sort of modified burrito method. I had to pick out the seams of the side seams, so that then I did the armhole and then the side seams separately. So it was sort of a modified burrito method, modified in the fact that it is not a full bodice piece. It's only half a bodice piece. Here I'm just doing some understitching to make sure that the lining and the front of the bodice lay correctly. Here I am doing the armhole in that modified burrito method that I was talking about before, and then I will pull it out to turn it and then do the side seams, which honestly I don't know that I recorded it, but this ended up working out better. I tried it the other way or another way, and that did not work at all, and I ended up having to rip out some stitches. So in this clip, I am sewing on pockets. This pattern does not actually have pockets on it, but I decided that I wanted pockets, and pockets are necessary in skirts. So I went ahead and made my own pockets and added them to the pattern, and here I'm just sewing them on. Now understitch. And then I'll do the same thing to all the rest. So after I understitched all of the pockets, I went ahead and did the side seams. So this is me stitching the side seams around the pocket and then down the remainder of the skirt. So this is in order for me to have an inseam pocket. You have to make sure that you include the pocket in the side seam, as I'm doing here. And you have to go up just a little bit so that the pocket isn't just like everything won't just fall out of the pocket. So I've marked those areas where I want to go up, turn around, and come back in the other direction. I'm stitching together the front. So I stitched together the front where it overlaps, and then I basted together all of the layers, so the lining layer and the outside layer, so that it would sit right in the next step when I sew the skirt to the bodice at the waistband, because I had tried to pin it before and the layers were just moving all over the place. So I just decided to baste these layers together inside the seam allowance so that it will hold together better and I won't have to worry about the layers moving around quite so much. So in this clip, I am French seaming together the bodice and the skirt. And in order to do that, you do wrong sides together, clip your seam allowance really, really close to the seam, and then turn it and stitch it together, right sides together. And I decided to go from the center out when I first sewed it together so that everything would lay correctly. In the second seam, I just do from one side to the other because I've already done most of the work attaching it. So here I am trimming my seam allowance back. Like I said before, you want to get really, really close to the seam, but don't cut into the seam. And then you turn it, pin it, and sew it again. I did not record putting on the zipper or hemming it. I hemmed it basically with a bias tape, which I have done in a previous video in my circle skirt video. So I just sewed the bias tape to the bottom with the right sides together, turned it, and then hand stitched it. And I think this works best for any type of circle skirt. And the zipper, well, I just put in an invisible zipper, and those are nothing exciting. But once I finished all of that, I tried it on and I went ahead and filmed the reveal. So I will see you guys in the reveal. So my final thoughts on this project. I really like this dress. There are some things I wish I had done differently, like the armholes. They're a little bit tight, and the dress is a little bit short-waisted and a little bit shorter than I wanted. I had intended to make the dress about knee length or below the knee length, and that's not what happened. It ended up being right at the knee. As far as the length is concerned, if I want to fix that, I probably could just go in and add a waistband to it. It would fix both the short-waistedness and the length of the dress. I'm just not sure I really want to. As far as the armholes is concerned, that would be way more work than I want to put into it, so I probably won't fix that. It's totally fine. I will, however, have to go back and change the pattern and lengthen the pattern and change the armholes so that when I make it in the future, it will fit me a little bit better. Overall, I am happy with how it turned out, and I really, really like it and can't wait to wear it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all your support. If you like my content and want to support my channel, like and subscribe. I usually upload every Friday. If you have something specific you want to see me make, you can either leave me a comment or send me a message. I also have a Ko-fi. If you're interested in donating, all proceeds will go back into the channel. I hope to see you guys in the next video, and I look forward to reading your comments.